Hi, and today we'll be talking about 23.1 for workplace opportunities in sport. Now, to start off this video, I'm going to first talk about the three different providers in the sports industry, and these are the voluntary, public, and private providers. Now, usually, private providers are providers that open their businesses with one main aim, which is to make profit and also to provide a service to members of their club. So normally it's club based and there's always a membership attached, or most of the time there's a membership attached to it. And they usually are more expensive than the public or the voluntary providers, but always tend to have, especially for stuff like gyms, tend to have better equipment a lot of the time. Now, the other provider is the public provider, and this is usually a company or business that is funded by the National Lottery or the government to provide a service to the public, which is normally either free or very cheap, so that most people can afford to use the facilities when they want. An example of this is in Brighton with the Freedom Leisure Centre King Alfred. They have swimming pools and also a gym, and it's normally, they do have very cheap prices in comparison to other leisure centres that may be private or privately owned and not owned by the government. Now, the aim of the public providers are usually to not make profit, but to provide a service to the public, which is different to the private because they want to make, their main aim is to make money. On the other hand, the voluntary provider main aim is to increase participation and performance for all ages. They are always non-profit organizations, and they do get grants and various funding from the government and the lottery as well. Usually the difference between this and the public sector is that in the voluntary provider section, they always are voluntary, like as in the coaches are voluntary. They don't normally use big facilities. They tend to use like sports fields and things that are open space, and if they are priced, it's very, very, very cheap, and normally the service is free for the public to use. So an example of these things may be after school, like football clubs that are attached to the school. The coach may not get paid for this. He may be a regular teacher. He may not get paid for this. And the field would be, if it belongs to the school, then he would get that for free just to use for the club, after school club. This is usually done at a very low, like mass participation kind of level, just to get children and adults, however, involved in sport, not really to take it competitively, usually. Next, we're going to move on to the four sectors in the sports industry, and these are sport and recreation, health and fitness, sport and exercise science, and outdoor education. Now, the sport and recreation sector is usually a job that is made to increase mass participation, and for example, a basketball coach, this would be attached to a club or a school. A basketball coach may take a job in this, and his role would be to provide a service, normally in the voluntary or the public sector in this case, and he will have to do classes or sessions for all various ages. For me, I would need to have a level 2 basketball coaching certificate to do it at a school level, and I would need to be able to communicate well with all different age groups. Normally, and if I were to take up this job, it would not be to gain profit, as it is normally in the public or voluntary sector at this level. And because it's recreation as well, more than likely it will be younger age groups. It may be some older age groups, but normally for recreational purposes, basketball is a sport that's played for people between the ages of 5 and 11. there is a basketball club called Brighton Cougars, and that if I were to start working for them, they would have sessions at Stringer or at Dorothy Stringer School, or at primary schools around the area near Baswick, the college I go to. And to evaluate this job, of course, I would need a lot of this is a junior coach job, by the way. I would need a lot of confidence, organizational skills. I would definitely have to get a CRB or DBS check to make sure that I have no accusations or not a criminal record. This is very vital just for my own safety and for the children's safety. I'll have to be available during after school hours, not college hours, so between 3 and 5 o'clock, which is not the case for me every day because I finish college at different times every day. If I were to do Brighton Cougars as well, it may be on the weekends, and that is the time I normally spend to do my college work as well. So that may be hard, and it's also low pay. It won't be very high, and if I wanted to make good profits, then it may not be the job for me. And another thing I didn't write down as well is the location of it. If I were to do after school hours, like for example on a Friday, finish at 2 o'clock, I would be able to walk to primary school from my college, or even to Stringer as well. The next job I'll be looking at is in the sports science sector. Now, this is more an academic job, which is physiotherapy, but it's still very practical, as my role would be to either help people to recover or get them to a point where they want to be or where they are not at the moment, like physically and movement wise. And for a job like this, I may be dealing with people that come out of a sedentary lifestyle, so that may be office jobs. They might have minor injuries from maybe a sport they tried playing, or messing around with friends, or an office injury that they did at work. Or I could be on the other end of the spectrum where I'm dealing with highly trained and motivated athletes that are trying to get back on track after a big injury they may have got while doing sport. So it will vary from the type of people I deal with. It may not be physical, muscular injuries. It may be something else that be to do with their lungs or something different. So it'll be different things. So I have to know a variation of different things if I want to become a physiotherapist. I'll also need to be very into the technology and keep up to date with all the new things that are coming out, which does happen. There are all constant changes in new techniques and new technologies that are being used. There's also the choice between private and the NHS. The NHS is the medical system we have in the UK, and a lot of jobs are provided. So if I went to uni, my physiotherapy course would be free with no payment after university because it's connected to the NHS. And then I have the choice of going NHS or private. If I was private, I'll be getting paid more. And physiotherapists tend to get between 21 and 28,000 annually, which can be a highly paid job. It can be, and depending on who you work for, if you're working in sporting excellence side of things, you would get way more than that as well. In connection with, for me, it may not be the perfect job for me because it does help the quality of sport, but I definitely want to deal with the sporting side of things and not so much the sedentary lifestyle side of things, which may happen if I was to become a physiotherapist. So an alternative job for this may be the sports therapy job. To evaluate this job, if I wanted to be a physiotherapist, I would need to be reliable. I'd also have to be very knowledgeable and have my qualification. I'd have to get a degree in sport and exercise science or physiotherapy, or biology, something along those lines, if I wanted to start becoming a physiotherapist. I'd also need a lot of organization skills, so keeping time schedules, that comes and ties in also with reliability. And for university, if I was to continue at this rate, I would be able to get a spot on a course at most of the top unis if I got a triple distinction star. For me, my location at the moment, if I was to take a placement as a physiotherapist at the Royal Sussex County Hospital, it would only be two bus journeys away, which is nothing because I have a key card, so that'd be easy to get to. Now, looking into the health and fitness industry, I'll be looking at personal trainers, so they tend to have very busy schedules, which means because they would go into the gym when it opens and when it shuts as well. And for example, gyms like the gym on London Road, that's a 24-hour gym. So personal trainers may be expected to meet or have sessions at any time. It could be at any time, so you need to be very flexible time-wise. It also requires a level 3 qualification in personal training or strength and conditioning, or it may be, once it's related to training an individual, you need to have at least a level 3 qualification. It isn't always directly linked to athletes as well. Because you're working in a gym does not mean that the person you're going to be working with is going to be fit and healthy as they want to be, because they may be trying to achieve a goal of fit and healthy, but they may not start off in that category. It is quite well paid at the moment. They tend to earn, the lowest you can earn is probably 15,000 a year, and that can go up to about 28,000 a year. So it's very flexible. It's a very big range to go from, but depending on your experience levels, the more clients you'll tend to get after a while. You could also, I don't have to work in just a gym. It could be working with higher athletes that are in the sporting excellence realm as well, to keep them fit and make them ready for big competitions. Now, I'll need to be able to have good communication skills, which I think I have at the moment, and that'll be just so that to prevent further injuries or prevent injuries happening in my sessions, I'll need to be able to communicate to them what needs to be done. I'd also need to have contacts in the industry as well, and it may be quite competitive, especially applying for a job at big gyms in Brighton, because it's quite a popular job people apply for. So I'll have a lot of competition. This is why I need to work on getting qualifications if I want to become a personal trainer. I also need to have great customer service skills so that they do enjoy the sessions and will be willing to come back again. And also just for the face of the company to make sure that I'm representing them correctly. It could be private or publicly owned, and the one I would be going for is the gym in Brighton. And now we're going to look at the adventure sector, outdoor adventure sector. And this could be a climbing instructor. This job is a bit further away in Haywards Heath, which would cost me a train journey, which is a lot of money. That company is privately owned, and you do need instructors' qualifications in order to do it. And you definitely need like a good experience doing this, which I don't have in rock climbing or an interest in it. And if I was to work somewhere with facilities, that the closest one that I could find was Withdean, which is not too far away, but the perfect one would be in Haywards Heath, which is a bit further away. For the outdoor adventure evaluation of a climbing instructor, I would need confidence, so I'll be able to get my point across, communication skills similar to the personal trainer one to avoid injury, lots of experience within the sport itself beforehand, which I don't have, health and safety awareness to do with rock climbing, very good observational skills so that I can see what's going on, because if I don't see what's going on, there's a possibility that somebody can get hurt, and I need to be first aid trained, which I have at the moment. Now, the job opportunity in physiotherapy, I think this would be the perfect job for me because I have the confidence, the communication, the leadership, and I'm currently doing a certificate in physiotherapy. So this would be on the right track for me, and I think I'm going to apply for a placement at the Royal Sussex County Hospital because of these things.